He was pretty.
Okay, so before we hit play, this is a one of the kids that went to college with Bryan. Apparently, Bryan like graded his papers and shit. So he talks about before the shit happened and after it happened. So let's listen to what he has to say, and then I'll have a few things to say at the end.
Strict as far as grading goes. When he came into class, he was very, not super mentally present. He would stand up at the front, look at the ground. He had a lot of like boilerplate responses he would give people rather than, maybe something he had thought up on the spot. It seemed like he would be, he'd come in knowing what he was going to say to like most interactions. And then when he would grade your papers, he would be grading you on what he ended up calling like a higher standard. But what it really felt like to us was he was grading us like he would have graded himself as a PhD student. And so that was just kind of like, we were all annoyed by him. And so I knew his name, I knew like, oh, T.A. Bryan, like he sucks at this. Like he's grading us too harshly. And that was like an annoyance. But obviously beyond that, we just thought he was a little weird and kind of, a bad grader. Yeah, we just, it would have been about a month before winter break when like the murders happened. And we didn't obviously build our framework for this around that because we had no reason to connect him to that, at the time. But definitely around then, he started grading everybody just hundreds. Not like you pretty much if you turned something in, you were getting high marks. And he stopped leaving notes. It was just, he seemed preoccupied, is what I would have said at the time. And now obviously he seems like he was probably pretty preoccupied, but it was much easier. You turn in whatever you wanted pretty much, and he was just grading them up and sending them back. Like, yeah, absolutely. He probably, that I saw, he was always a little bit spotty on whether or not he'd come to class because he had, whatever PhD stuff over the top of it. But the couple times that he did come after or around that time period, I remember him, he had like a little bit more facial hair, just like stubble, but definitely less like well kept than he was. And he was a little quieter. He didn't. He used to stand up at the start of class and like talk about some stuff sometimes, and this time he didn't really do that at all. He was definitely, I think, like the previous like mental preoccupation that we had been noticing, where it was like, he didn't really want to be there. That was at like an all-time high, and he just, didn't look like he was doing great.
So he had everybody at a high standard at first. Like he wanted everybody to be at his standard as a PhD student. And then after what happened, he graded them totally different. Like if they turned something in, they got a high grade, no matter what it was. Didn't matter. So people were always asking, was he different when he went back to school than before he was in school? And the answer to that question is hell yeah, he was a lot different apparently. Like, it doesn't seem like much from what this kid says, but it's enough to know that he went from being very particular about what these kids turned in to not giving a shit at all. And that's basically what happened. He didn't have time to deal with their grades and what they turned in. He just, yep, you get a 98. Yep, you got a 100. Yep, you get a 96. And just went with it. Where before he's probably getting them like 70s, 80s, and then all of a sudden 90s and 100s. So yeah, that's a big change between before and after. Like, it doesn't seem like a big change, but it is. But what do you guys think about this? Comment below and let me know. See you guys out in the next video. If you want to support my channel, you can do so by checking out my Facebook page. Link in the description. Bye, guys.